Jane sat in her bakery, carefully piping buttercream roses onto a three-tier wedding cake. The aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air, but her mind was elsewhere, where she was thinking about the conversation she had with her Auntie Esther that morning. "Jane, you are not getting any younger," Auntie Esther had said, stirring a pot of egusi soup in the family kitchen. "You are 35. When will you settle down and give us something to celebrate? Or do you want me to grow old without carrying your children?" Jane had laughed nervously, brushing off the comment as she always did. "Auntie, it's not that easy. God's time is the best," she had replied. But deep down, the words stung. She wanted love, marriage, and children too. But after 7 long years with Victor, her boyfriend, she wondered if God's time would ever come. Victor was charming and ambitious, or so she had thought. When they met, he had dreams of starting his own business, and Jane had supported him wholeheartedly. She had loaned him money, paid for his rent, and even helped him get a small shop. She had believed in his potential, sacrificing her own needs to help him succeed. But lately, something felt off. Jane had noticed changes in Victor. He no longer called her as often, and when they met, he seemed distracted. She chalked it up to stress. Maybe the pressure of running the shop is getting to him, she told herself. One evening, as she closed the bakery, Victor stopped by. He leaned casually against the door frame, his cologne wafting the air. "Jane," he began, his tone light, "I need a favor." "Another one?" she teased, trying to hide the frustration bubbling inside her. "What is it this time?" "I need you to bake a cake, a wedding cake." Jane's face lit up. "Of course, whose wedding?" Before we continue, if you are enjoying this story and want more captivating tales like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Let's dive back into the story. Things are about to get more interesting. There was a pause. Victor avoided her gaze. "Mine," he said softly. Jane froze, the words slicing through her like a knife. She tried to laugh, thinking it was a cruel joke, but the serious look of Victor's face stopped her. "What do you mean, your wedding?" she whispered. Victor sighed, as if he were the victim. "I have met someone else, Jane. Her name is Amaka. She's 21. She's younger. I didn't mean for this to happen, but it just feels right with her." Jane's mind raced. 7 years of her life gone, the sacrifices, the dreams they had shared, all reduced to this moment. Her heart trembled as she stared at him, tears welling up in her eyes. "And you want me to bake your wedding cake?" she asked, her voice breaking. "You're the best baker in the city," he said, as if that justified his audacity. "Please, Jane, don't make this harder than it has to be." Against her better judgment, Jane agreed. "I will bake your cake," she said, her voice cold and detached. She didn't know why she had said yes. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was shock, or maybe it was the desire to show him what he was losing. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, she stood in the empty bakery that night. Jane replayed every moment of their relationship, the sacrifices she had made, the abortion she had undergone for him, and the countless suitors she had turned down because she believed in him. He had chosen to marry a younger woman, someone who made him feel alive, as he did put it. The betrayal consumed her, turning her grief into anger, and her anger into something darker. In that moment, Jane made a decision that would change everything. She reached into a drawer and pulled out a small vial of poison she had confiscated from a rodent infestation months ago. Her hands shook as she unscrewed the vial and poured its contents of the top layer of the cake, Let them all taste the bitterness I have endured, she muttered, tears streaming down her face. The wedding was grand, filled with laughter, music, and the crowd with well-wishers. Jane watched from a distance as the couple danced, the bride radiant in her gown, while Victor smiled like a man who had no regrets. The moment everyone had been waiting for arrived, the cutting of the cake. The crowd cheered as Victor and his new bride fed each other the first slices. Jane felt a surge of satisfaction mixed with dread. It wasn't long before chaos erupted. Victor was the first to collapse, clutching his stomach in agony. His bride followed, and soon others who had tasted the cake were wilting on the floor. Screams filled the air as ambulances were called. James' Bakery became the talk of the town, but not for its delicious treats. People whispered about the cake of bitterness and the tragedy it brought. Investigations quickly pointed to Jane, and she was arrested within days. In court, she sat silently as the evidence was presented. Her bakery was shut down, her reputation destroyed, and her once bright future reduced to ashes. She confessed to everything, her voice breaking, as she spoke about the betrayal that had driven her to such a cruel act. As Jane sat in the prison court, she reflected on the choices she had made. Yes, she had been wronged, but the weight of her actions now far outweighed the pain Victor had caused her. The story of Jane spread far and wide, a cautionary tale about the destructive power of unchecked anger and the consequences of betrayal. And for Victor, he survived the poisoning. His wife didn't. She also lost the pregnancy, and it left him with a health complication. A reminder of his own role in the chain of the events that led to the fateful day. The bakery that once brought joy to the people of Abia State stood empty, a haunting reminder of a love that turned sour and a heart consumed by bitterness. Thank you for watching. Do you know anyone who had faced something similar? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit on the notification bell.